G'day and welcome to this week's video. My name's Robert Gowdy, and this week I'm going to have a chat about whether a young person who has just finished their uni or have been working for a while but they're struggling with a HECS debt and want to know whether they should focus on paying off the HECS debt or whether they should be considering building a first home deposit as a priority. So in my view, I would recommend building a first home deposit as the number one priority. The reason for that is obviously your HECS debt will not go up with any more than inflation. Now I know last year inflation figures, and obviously this hit the news substantially, went up by 7%. And then the Albanese government brought that down to an indexation of only 3%. So there's probably a bit of a precedent set there that whilst it will be no higher than inflation, it might be capped at a certain number. So it's going to stay within the inflation number or potentially below, like we saw last year. This allows us to just take the approach that your wage will look after that over the long term, and a young person, given that we live in Australia and what people are paying for property and what property is worth in Australia is just obscene, we need to have a really decent house deposit. So focusing on house deposit, I think, should be number one. And how should you do that? Well, I think people that are going to buy their first home should consider the Super Home Saver, the Super Home Saver scheme, and that's where it allows young people to build a house deposit by salary sacrificing to super. Instead of paying tax at their marginal tax rate, which for people that earn between 45 grand and $135,000, whatever you earn in between those two numbers is taxed at 32%, whereas any money that you put into superannuation is going to be taxed at 15%. So that on those numbers, that is a 70% guaranteed tax saving that you will enjoy, which is 17 cents in every dollar that goes towards building a bigger home deposit. Now there are limitations on how much you can put in. So the advice that I've just given to my daughter Bella, she's just finished her psych degree and she started work. So I've got her salary sacrificing about $17,500 into her superannuation plan, knowing that the most you can take out in any 1 year from super contributions is $15,000. So that's $17,500 less 15% gets you to the 15 grand. And the other limitation is that you're only allowed to take out 50 grand plus earnings in total. So if you can think about, two people, a couple, and if they're enough patience and they save for 3.5 years once they're out working, that means $100,000 plus earnings. So that's really attractive, and I think that should go first, because that will mean a bigger deposit means less debt when you buy your first home. Less debt means less stress. Please check with your superannuation provider to make sure they allow you to take out money for the first home deposit of the Super Saver scheme. And I think you've got to let the superannuation fund know before you sign a contract. So make sure all the paperwork is all good to go prior to signing up on a contract. But it takes a bit of patience to build up the deposit, and for those that set up the salary sacrifice and they've still got extra savings after tax, then put that aside as well to make as big a deposit as you possibly can. Please remember, this is general advice only, but thank you for listening. If you've got any questions, let us know. We're happy to cover those off. Cheers. Bye.